Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Orange County Funding Corporation meeting. It is September 26th at 4:15 p.m. I'd like to welcome everyone and call the meeting to order. Ask for a pledge of allegiance to the flag, please. Rise.
It's right here. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Proof of notice. The notice of the meeting was duly and properly provided. The minutes, looking for approval for the minutes of the August 16th, 2023 Board of Directors meeting. Everyone got a chance to review that. If anybody has any questions for a motion.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Sue. For the second.
I'll second.
Second, Dr. Odak. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Reports, the committee reports. We had the Finance Committee just prior to this. Jim?
We met regarding two things, the retirement plan and the CDs. The retirement plan, I think we're going to discuss in more detail. CDs, we can see where the rates are up to now, and we have one coming due. We approved continuing it on at the rates they're shown on that sheet. Matured yesterday, so it's going back.
And then the only thing to add are our financials that we reviewed.
Isn't much, but
We had one check for $80 to our
General Counsel, correct?
We had a little bit of interest because that CD didn't mature until September. And as said, we're going to roll that CD over back to TD Bank and get, I think, 5.5% for another 3 months.
And Sue Katz, I just second guessing myself. We don't need to approve the Finance Committee report, right? Mr. Rinaldi gave that, and we move on.
It's just a report, right?
Correct, okay, thanks, great.
thank you.
There's no action you are taking other than just informational, correct?
Correct, absolutely.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Move on to new business. Looking for a motion to accept the August financials. That was recommended by the Audit Committee or the Finance Committee and for approval.
And I'll just note that those are in your packet, beginning on page 5. Payables are separate, so.
And, March has reviewed that, has reviewed.
I will just make one more note. If you turn to page 5, if you look at our budget, the very last line, net income, we are ahead of, we are profitable. And I would say a nice part of that is from the money we're getting from the CDs.
No question.
Which is a nice benefit.
Okay. Thank you. So looking for a motion to accept the August financials.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Sue. Second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. And approval, now we're looking for approval for the August and September payables. They're attached as well. That was reviewed and asked for approval from the Finance Committee. Again, we discussed them a couple of times, looking for a motion for that.
So
Jim, second.
Second.
Dr. Odak, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed, thank you. And the Resiliency Loan Fund update, again, recommendation is for approval. Page 8 shows it, there's more money's coming in, 86% paid off, which is pretty good. And as Bill had said, we'll take another look at it at the end of the year and see where we stand for putting that into our financial statement, how it'll be accounted for moving forward with some of the ones that aren't paid. So look for a motion to accept the resiliency loan.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Sue. I'll second it. Any other questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. And the certificate of deposit investment, as we discussed. Any other questions? Mark, would you like to add to? Again, it was a motion, there was a motion passed from the Finance Committee to move to the full board
Yeah.
for approval.
So real quick, our 1.7 million, it came due yesterday. Kelly went and updated interest rates. TD Bank is offering 5.5% now for a 3-month. So we're gonna roll over this 1.7 million plus the interest we're getting from this coming due. And so I would imagine next month, this is probably gonna be somewhere around 1.8, something like that. 1.85,
Invested.
so, any questions about that?
No, just again, it's a three-month.
Yes.
You mentioned that. I apologize if you did. So if that was a recommendation moving forward, looking for a motion to move forward with the recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Sue.
Second.
Second, Dr. Odock. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
No other business?
No other business. If anyone else has anything, if not, I'll make a motion to adjourn the OCFC meeting at 4:25 PM.
I'll second that.
Second by Sue. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Now on to our IDA agenda for, again, 4:25. Welcome everybody to September 26th. Call the meeting to order.
Shall I do roll call, Dean, just, I don't think
Go
we
right
did
ahead.
the last time, if you don't mind. Dean Tamburri,
Here.
Dr. Vincent Odock,
Yeah.
Susan Walsky,
Here.
James Rinaldi.
Here.
Mark Green.
Here.
All right, we have 5 of our 6 board members present. Giovanni Palladino is on vacation out of the country. Staff, we have myself, Bill Fioravanti, Kelly Riley, and Marty Barras. We have acquisitions marketing here doing our audiovisual, of course, and our general counsel, Susan Katzoff, on the phone.
Thank you.
That's it, thanks.
Proof of notice. Notice was duly and properly provided. And now we're looking for a motion to go into executive session.
Executive session discuss legal matters. So if we could get a motion.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
So we made a motion. I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. It's going to.
Good to go.
Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. We're out of the executive session, and we're going to move on with the agenda items. And the next is the minutes, correct? Bill, is that where we're-
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're back right into that.
Looking
That's
for
where we're at.
approval of minutes for the August 16th Board of Directors meeting, which is attached. Anybody that doesn't review it, anybody has any questions? If not, looking for a motion to accept the minutes of August 16th.
I make that motion.
Sue made a motion,
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you. Reports, going to reports.
Sure. Sure, I'll start with the CEO report, that's okay. I'll run through a number of things. First of all, I want to let you know, I'm excited about this, but we are going to be a full board of directors again shortly, in October. The county legislative chairwoman, Katie Bonelli, appeared at the E&E committee meeting, Education and Economic Development Committee for the legislature last Monday, in which I regularly report. And she officially nominated Mr. Jeff Christ of Christ Apple Orchards for appointment to the IDA Board of Directors. It does go through committee. He was fully supported there, and they voted to recommend him to the full legislature unanimously. Had a few people speak on his behalf, including Paul Riskevich, chairman, who of course was part of our board for the temporary period, who spoke very, very highly of him. Mr. Christ is, first and foremost, like the rest of this group, a high integrity person, a person who loves Orange County genuinely. He does operate Christ Apple Orchards, a few locations around Orange County, mostly headquartered in Walden. He's passing it on to the next generation. He's done a lot of volunteer work, especially in his industry. He was the chair of US Apple, so working with state of Washington orchards and such, but leading that group. And he has been the chairman of the town of Montgomery IDA for the last, I think, 7 years it was. And he came in, and quite frankly, he was baptized by fire there, because he had, right away in the beginning of his tenure, had 2 high-profile projects, and he was attacked regularly by a senator not to be named. So he has been baptized by fire in that way, and just really stewarded that IDA through some difficult times, but very successfully done a number of great projects. So I thought it was a long shot when the county executive wanted to approach him, and we did, but he was excited about the opportunity here to work on the whole county, to support the whole county. He was excited about our Shovel Ready initiative, which was in part inspired to me by work I did with the town of Montgomery's corridor study that Jeff commissioned. So I think he's going to be a great board member. The full legislature meeting, I believe, is it's the first Thursday of October. It's the 3rd or the 4th, and at which point he would be appointed, and then he would be with us as a full board member at our October 18th board meeting coming up. So really a great man. I look forward to you all meeting him. I'd love to arrange kind of side conversations or coffee meetings or whatever, so you can get to know him as well. But again, he'll be with us in our October meeting. I also want to mention our audit committee meeting is Tuesday, October 3rd, so I guess he's being appointed on the 5th. So we're mostly going to be, that'll be the first time I share my proposed budget for 2024, and then it looks like we may have a waiver request or 2. So that is coming up. As you know, we were a sponsor of a cannabis conference held at the Warwick Tech Park. It was really hosted by Upstate Ventures, the venture capitalist group that I continue to work closely with them and some angel investor networks. I think they're important to the county to make sure we're encouraging investors in especially startups and small enterprises here. It was again centered around the cannabis conference, and it really, I moderated a panel discussion with Michael Sweeten, the Warwick Town Supervisor, with Aaron Sheeran from Urban Extracts, and it's in his building that the conference was held, primarily at least, which is a former dairy barn that was converted using IDA funds. And then Rebecca Brown from Green Thumb Industries, the cannabis manufacturer and processor that just finished a 450,000 square foot construction job that of course we incentivized. She was there as well, very well received, great turnout for this conference, great mix of people, venture people, entrepreneurs, local officials. It was really a standing room only, great turnout. And the IDA, frankly, was highlighted very nicely. We don't get that all the time, but just the role that we played, the vision that this agency had, and the investment we made, most of it which was recouped, as you know, was really highlighted and celebrated that day. So really, thank you for your support of supporting us being involved in that and the sponsorship and such. And again, it was really a great turnout. Sticking with GTI or Green Thumb, again, they completed their construction project. They've already hired 25 to 30 employees there. They expect that to be double that amount within a month or two, and that before long they'll ramp up to their full expected full-time employment, over 100 employees, many of which are six-figure salaries. So it's a really a great project. It's a great win. Obviously, it's an anchor for that campus now, and all that that was done to transform that. So it's a great one. And we're also working with them to schedule a ribbon cutting for that. And I certainly want to make sure as many of you can attend as possible, because that is a great thing to celebrate. That was the first project that this reinvented, recomposed IDA approved. So it's something to celebrate without question, as is the Warwick Tech Park that we talk about a lot. Staying with that location, we have one last accelerator site at their Manor House. It's a town building that's on that campus across from Drowned Lands Brewery. We had two final tenants, now it's down to one. Body at Rest, who was a partner in Honey Buzz, those are two other tenants we had in Warwick. They're going to be moving out, and it's actually going to be completely rented by Scripted Fragrance, the candle company who's been very successful. I told you a lot about them. So they're going to be essentially renting that entire building now. So they'll cover all the cams and the rent there. We are working with Bousquet Holstein on a revised lease for that company that would begin at the beginning of October. So that's moving out there. We also have mandated harassment training, so that's Marty and Kelly finished theirs. I have one bit remaining for mine, so we will do that as required. I also participated in an agricultural tour that Orange County does. It's sponsored by what used to be known as the Orange County Citizens Foundation. Now it's called Vision Hudson Valley. I think it's very important. It's something that I want to continue to promote to this group, because I'd like to invite you to participate in that in one of the upcoming tours in the next couple of years. It's a coach bus tour, and we go all over the county. We even visited Adams Farricker Farms, just seeing how the backside of the house on that, and how they're supplied or they source from local produce and fruits. So that was great, and we just need to stay in tune with what's happening with ag in this county. It's critical. So that was successful. Also in front of you is a copy of an article published by the Times-Union. I have to say, as far as anything in print, the Times-Union is pretty much our most reliable and trusted publication, with the record continuing to kind of just atrophy, I guess is what I'd say. So this was an article. Of course, we took some unexpected criticism from an expected place, but you see, you even have some in the same political party saying that they would support this type of incentive. So the Times-Union for the last couple of years has done a great job of really telling both sides of the story. So I commend this reporter, Lana Bellamy, in the work that they've done. So you have that FYI. And I just want to look ahead to next month, letting you know that, as I mentioned before, I'm going to be presenting a 2024 budget, our financial budget for next year. And I've been working with Sue Katzoff on our UTEP review and revision, and that's something that I wanted to kick off. It depends on how many applications are ready to go for new projects. We may bump UTEP review to November if just time doesn't permit. So obviously we're trying to keep this as tight as possible. But those are the two big things, aside from projects, that are on our radar screen, is the budget and UTEP. I think that's it for me for CEO.
Since we are on this topic, CEO reports, what is the situation now with the monitors in September?
Sure, the monitor, the last that any news that kind of came out about it was direct communication to us from the Inspector General's office. Of course, the New York State IG was, this was kind of put in their lap, where it's their job to appoint the monitor, which was very good news for us. If you recall, it could have been other agencies in New York that are very anti-IDA, and they would have relished the opportunity to kind of come down hard on us in a way that would be unfair and unjust completely, if you ask me. However, that's not the case. The IG is approaching it very objectively and very carefully. They have admitted that they have no experience working with IDAs. So what they last did was put out what they called an RFI, request for information. And they put it out to potential appointees as monitors, which it seems to be that the IGA is looking at law firms that work in public finance, like Buske Holstein and Hodgson Russ, our bond counsel, because they know IDA law. And they know the portion of the general municipal law that applies to us. So they put this request for information out to law firms and other groups like that, saying, tell us what you think we should do. What do you think that, how much time do you think this role entails? Do you think it could be an individual? Does it need to be a firm? Does the group need to be embedded at the IDA? Could they do everything remotely? So they are being very open, and I respect it completely. They're not afraid to look like they're not experienced with this. And they've said, you know, we need more information to do it right. So they put that out, they're gonna receive that information, and then they're ultimately gonna put out a request for proposals from, again, would-be appointees as monitor, and then they're gonna have to sift through those and decide. I think realistically speaking, we're at least 6 months away from an appointment. Closer to 12 months, I believe. That's really the latest and greatest update.
When does the time run on the monitoring?
It's not until it's appointed, so it is 3 years. I'd love to say we wait it out and it just goes away, but no, it's once they're appointed, then we have a 3-year term there. It is what it is. The pay, as we've all said, the fact that we have to pay for, which I'm building in the 24 budget, is the worst part, because I think ultimately it's going to be validation for us, because they're going to be here looking objectively and they're going to say they're doing everything right. Sound deals backed by cost-benefit analyses and all of that. But it's going to cost us, and frankly, I consider our fund balance, it's not ours, that's for sure. It's Orange County taxpayer money, and I think the senator made sure that Orange County taxpayers are footing the bill for this.
That is news, though, they're going to go for RFPs, and we didn't know
Correct.
that prior.
I sent to you just a draft of that RFI, but it did go out publicly, yeah, so I don't think I told you that it was officially went out, and then they're taking that information now, and we'll wait to see the RFP. That's the next step that we can expect.
And did you also do that, there was an economic summit that we talked about, right? You did do that, right?
You know, I'm missing not included. Thank you.
Because I missed it, and I thought it was great last year.
Thanks.
I couldn't attend, but I know you presented.
Sure, so you know, I'm part of what the county executive is coined the economic development team for Orange County, working with certainly our partners at the Orange County Partnership, with Steve Gross, who's in my former position as Director of Economic Development under Steve Newhouse, tourism, employment and training, we all work together. Well, last year, Steve Gross really headed it up, but we organized the first ever Orange County Economic Development Summit. Last year's focus, the theme, was on infrastructure, which fits in absolutely perfectly and dovetails with our shovel ready initiative, you know, entirely. And it was a great day. I moderated a panel discussion, was involved in a couple other things, but certainly in the planning. This year, the theme was hospitality and tourism and film. So, as you can imagine, Amanda Dana, our Director of Tourism and Film, she played a lead role. That's what a lot of the panel discussions were about. I did have an opportunity to introduce a keynote speaker and take the opportunity to talk about what I said was a very exciting subject to all of them, economic incentives, because they have their place, certainly, Legoland being one of them. There are certainly tax incentives that allow filming upstate here. You know, it's critical when it comes to that. So that was well received, and the summit was terrific. I give Steve Gross a lot of credit, Amanda and her team as well in tourism. But it's very well received. Full house at Orange Hall, the theater basically at SUNY Orange in Middletown. Great turnout. Last year was not videotaped, this year is. And Steve is just about to share that link, he told me today. So I can share that with the group if you want to check out any portion of that. But it is a great one and something we expect to continue. And we have some ideas for next year's theme.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks for mentioning that. It really has been a good thing.
And discussion at those meetings about Camp LaGuardia?
So I've checked in on that because I have, I don't want to say personal interest, but it's kind of a pet project for me, at least it was. And it sounds like the plan is still to make it a park. That's still what the county executive, thinks is just the best resolution for that. And look, it's hard to criticize his thoughts there because he literally lives a stone's throw away from that. I mean, he's just down the street, so it impacts his family and his neighborhood as much as anyone. And I don't think that's his motivation. He's trying to create what he thinks is a resource for the county, for sure. But it looks like that's still the plan, is a park right now. Although it did rank high in our shovel-ready analysis, of course.
Thank you.
All right.
And for committee reports, the Finance Committee. Jim, if you want to discuss.
On the finances, we discussed on prior copy of the various reports on income, expense, and such were gone over by the Finance Committee. They're there for you to review. Pretty much cut and dry, same as last month. A little bit of profit on one. More profit coming up on overall because of our investments in CDs. And as far as that, the CDs, we have the maturity lists here that we've talked about and going forward where we're going to put it and the rates we're getting now, which are phenomenal. Open for discussion on that. And as far as the retirement plan, we talked about the various plans that were available, and it appears that the 401k seems to be the plan of choice, and we can talk about that.
Excellent, thank you, Jim. And then the,
I would just
Go ahead,
add
Norm.
real quick,
I'm sorry.
because it caught me, when we were going through the financials, it still looks like there's an extra $1 million in the checking account that last month we approved. So next month you'll see that, but in the.
We approved moving it out and
Yes,
investing it.
we approved it, but in the vendor payments, it's in the vendor payments, it hasn't caught up in the other one yet. So just so next month when you see it, you'll know that this is from actually.
It looks like it's still in the checking, but it's not right now.
but that's obviously a great footnote, Mark, because you'll see the expenses of $1 million, but it's
Yeah.
actually being invested.
Exactly.
So that's a great footnote, thank you. Do we need a motion to accept the
Yes.
finance report?
Can I just ask any questions on the financials? Obviously, the Finance Committee went over them in great detail for sure, every single expense, all items on the profit and loss statement and such, but if anyone has a question about them, of course. Otherwise, we'll look for a motion.
Motion to accept the financial committee report as presented.
I'll make a motion.
I'm sorry, Dean,
I
but
didn't think of-
that we don't need, it sounds like with Sue's clarity there, but we need to recommend the August financials reports.
Correct. New business. New business. Looking for a motion to accept the August financials as it was recommended by the Finance Committee to approve. If anybody has any questions, we're looking for a motion to approve the August 2023 financials.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Sue. Second? Second by Jim. All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. And also the payables, looking for a motion for the payables, again, which was the recommendation and approved to bring to the full board by the Finance Committee. So looking for a motion for the approval of the August and September payables. And the one really something to stick out would be what Mark discussed with moving that, the CD over. I'll make a motion to approve the August and September payables as recommended by the Finance Committee. Unless anybody has any questions.
Could we do a second?
Second.
Second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And now on to the retirement plan, give a little bit more detail on that as discussed in the Finance Committee.
I'll try to do a better job of summarizing here and leading into you, Mark.
Is
Unless
it
you wanna
okay?
start.
Can we do the CD first?
Sure,
So
definitely.
it's done.
Good.
And
Let's
then
do
we
that.
can talk about.
We can talk at length, sure.
That makes sense, because, you know, something Marty would probably make sense of, it's one of those ones that I'll forget.
All right, we'll just
We'll
close.
forget. Close.
So if I can ask you to turn to page 10 real quick. We have one CD coming due, it matured yesterday. And this is for $3 million at TD Bank, it's that top line, you all see it?
Yes.
So it was our recommendation that if you look, you should have gotten this, these are the rates. In order to continue our diversification, what we think we should do, even though it would be roughly $1,700 less for the year, would be to go into the JP Morgan T-bill. It's a 3-month T-bill, and that's getting 5.33%. And we think that would be continuing to diversify, to protect ourselves, but also maximizing the amount of return on that. So that would come due sometime, end of December. And then, this is going to line everything up nicely so that we can then, every 3 months, have this discussion versus kind of every month, now that everything is coming together. Any questions or thoughts on that?
For 0.17%, as an organization, we feel that it's better to split it up a little bit. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's $1,700 for the year. And, at this point, it's kind of a rounding error. And I just feel a little bit better having our eggs in a couple of different baskets.
That's how I was brought up.
All right. Professor Odak, any questions on that? You good? Okay. So, I don't know, motion to?
We need a motion to,
After that, we're gonna say, Mark, you made the motion to move forward on that. I'll second it. If anybody has any other questions, looking for a motion to accept, to move that CD as Mark described. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Very good.
Okay, now we'll finish up with the retirement plans for review of that.
Okay, terrific. So I'll do a little briefer, but we've been looking at this for a few months. First track we went down was looking at the New York State pension plan. There were some challenges to that. It's not as valuable a program as it used to be with Tier 6 now, where the employees contribute, and in the past they did not have to before. When we did the analysis, we really questioned whether or not even the current employees would benefit much from the plan. So it was questionable. So as an alternative route, we looked at a traditional 401k kind of vehicle. I talked to a few different potential administrators for that. We really went more kind of in depth with one of them. That provider would be Spectrum Financial Services. They are tied in a way affiliated with RBT, our CPA, of course, our CFO for hire. And Mr. Tanbury does have some experience with them, so knows of their reputation and such. And we talked about a 401k, basically employee match, where the employee can contribute legally up to 6%. We could match that. And then we talked about coupling that with a what they call a profit sharing plan. It's really just the name of it. Doesn't imply that we make a profit, but that we could utilize to make extra investments in these plans on behalf of the employees, with the objective being, at least this is what I brought to the committee, was that our employees have not been covered by retirement in several years. I'd like to make everyone whole for some sort of contribution going back, including our longest tenured employee, and even myself, just been there a couple of years. That was the intention. Want to see if we could do it. And I did pull in Dean and Mark. They worked really closely on this, which I do appreciate. And they were present at our last meeting with Spectrum to look at what the plans we were pursuing. So if I can, I will segue to Mark Green, who's agreed to try and summarize this. I did put some paperwork in front of you, the engagement letter from Spectrum, a draft, as you see, of potential investments. So I think I have to get. Is yours in there? Did I hand it to you?
Yeah.
I did, right?
The draft is
It's a little more detailed.
is kind of confusing, quite
Yes.
frankly. So I'm going to just try and walk you through it. I will say before we start, the goal here is to get you all to at least see the verbiage, get you all so that you can understand what the overall plan is. Another goal is that if we do decide to move forward, that we do it before the end of the year, because if we don't do it by the end of the year, we will waste an opportunity for our employees. And so that's really what this is about. So overall, it's setting up two things. It's setting up a traditional 401k, which is a matching program. So an employee can match, and we will decide our bandwidth. There's a lot of rules, so forgive me, but basically we can set up a program between 3% and 6%, that if the employee puts in 3% of their pre-tax income, we would then be able to match that. So in essence, they would get 6% into their account a year. They can invest more. They can invest up to, I forgot what the rule is this year, I want to say it's like 22,500 if they want to be that aggressive. But we would only match up to that, whatever percent we
6%.
decide.
That threshold that you
Yes.
put on it.
The industry or the corporate standard is 3%. I'm not particularly a fan of that. I would choose 5 or 6%. Going forward on that part, if we just did the 401K, you're looking at a $1,500 setup fee, then $1,500 a year maintenance fee, plus $50 a year per employee. My back of the envelope at 5%, if all employees maxed it out, it would be roughly a $14,000 a year commitment from us to match, if they matched it out at 5%. And so for so going forward, this is discretionary. We can, in November, December of each year, see how we're doing as an organization, see how we've met our goals, and we can do up to 25% one time of all the employees' salaries combined. And that does not have to be distributed proportionally. So in other words, you don't have to say, well, so-and-so makes X, 25% of that, they get that. You can try to make up and say, okay, where are we now? Where should we be for certain employees that maybe are closer to retirement than others? You don't have full discretion. There are quite a few limitations, there are some real bans, but it does allow us some flexibility to hopefully address and try to catch up for people that may be near retirement than not as near. In order to do everything, the profit sharing plus the 401K, I would say this year it will be just around $75,000 to have that if we were going to establish that by December of this year. So I would say, if you have any questions, please let's try and discuss them now. But I would say, if you're like me, you'll go home, you'll think about it, and I would say we bring in Spectrum for October's meeting to be able to answer questions. And if you have questions between now and then, please pass them on so we're prepared so that we can answer your questions. But that's where we are right now.
I think we need to be able to make a decision in October.
Well, yes and no, Sue. Yes, that would be the goal. But that's why today was so important, was to get it on the table, to get it in front of you. The three of us in the finance, we feel very strongly about doing this for a number of reasons. Promises have been made, not by us, but again, promises we think should be kept. And maybe even more importantly, our whole goal here is to attract businesses, for our county. And, for me, it's kind of shame on us that we're not doing things that quite frankly are a given for employees.
Yeah, and maybe my point of view is not only, correcting what should have been there in the first place. If we're going to grow as an IDA, which I would hope to think that's everybody's intention here, we have to attract talent, and talent is going to look for these type of things. It's especially in this current employment environment, they're going to be looking for, what's in it for me?
Absolutely.
I think our income justifies all of this. It's no burden on us.
Correct.
Well, now is the time. Now is the time to do these things. The time to do this was years ago.
20 years ago. What?
But we're here now. We have we have I think a duty to do it, and B, we have the means to do it. So again, we feel very strongly about it, but we open it up really to you too.
Well, like I said, my thought is you can bring them in so we can really fully understand. I know you've done a good job, but I also think we need to have as an agenda item to vote on it after the presentation. Because by then
Here's
we'll
what I
have-
was wondering, is if tonight you could vote to approve me working with Spectrum to work on a plan, and then they come in and you could also vote on the actual investments, that once you've had a little back and forth, and he says, here's what I'm thinking about taking care, how to take care of these employees, so and so forth, you could vote on the actual investments, but now just authorize me to work with them on that.
Okay, so I just want to say.
That was just a
I believe the finance committee authorized working with Spectrum, so we're going to bring that to the full board. I think that's what we did say. And just to, the only last thing I mean, great job, Mark, explaining it all. But we talked about approving, if we all agree, the full board, and that Spectrum moving forward to set it all up October, and then maybe in November, discussing the actual funding of it and how before the year's out.
Yeah, I'm just
Is that what we
concerned,
talked about? Or-
November, December, sometimes meetings get wanky, weather starts turning.
Mhm.
Look, in a perfect world, if we get all the answers we need by next meeting, then I absolutely would love to vote on it and move forward and move on with our lives and,
Could do that.
and, kind of do this as another check off of,
Mhm.
something that we should have addressed, that we've addressed, and now we continue to move full steam ahead. So absolutely, that is the goal. But we also understand that, look, I still have a couple of questions. I'm, you're all looking at me like I'm the expert, like I still have some questions. So we don't want to seem like we're shoving this down your throats without people having ample time and opportunity to be able to make sure that, yes, you are 100% on board in doing this.
As a matter of fact, as long as it's, allowed or whatever, I would like Bill to ask Spectrum to maybe spell out a few of the scenarios that we discussed and maybe send that out to everybody in case there is other questions.
we
So
can
we're
prep
fully
before.
prepared
Definitely.
when he comes in this way. We'll have him, let him know that, we talked about that you engage with him so far, and then we'll bring him in and send something out to everybody to go over exactly what we described to move forward. Okay.
Great. So we don't need to take action tonight then? We'll just, besides you telling me to schedule Lubach to come in, or?
Well, is there any reason tonight, since we all seem to be in agreement, to vote and approve the plan? And then next meeting, it's a matter of who we're going to get to monitor.
Well, again, I want to, but Jim, I think we did that in the finance committee.
Yeah,
So I
the
think
full
we
board
should-
did. It's
Correct,
just
that's what I'm
right,
saying,
yeah.
I think
I
we
see.
should do it in the full board, I think we should do exactly what.
I'd be most comfortable with that. At least you're authorizing some sort of movement. Go ahead.
Can we take a step back?
Let's talk about it.
Is there anyone that disagrees? And if you do, that is 100% okay. Does anyone disagree and think that we shouldn't set this up for our employees? Right, so do you think we should do something as far as this goes?
As far as this is concerned,
Now,
100%.
Whether or not it's 3% or 6% or like, that we can talk about. But
Now, along with that, when do you think it will be effective? I mean, what month, January, December, when do you think?
23.
What time?
we have to, as we owe it to our employees, we have to have this set up by December.
Yeah, that's-
Because if not, then they won't get any benefit for 2023.
yeah,
And that would be a shame.
yeah, that's,
Right, so by the end of the year, we'll hopefully fund it for 2023.
And even though we do it at the end of the year, we can fully fund the year, so it gives us that opportunity.
The tax burden you can do for the entire year, even if it's in the last month of the year.
Right. So, do you agree or disagree?
I agree, no,
All
we
right,
need
so
to
then
do
can we take a vote that we are going to set up a 401K for our employees
With Spectrum.
with Spectrum?
Okay.
And then the intricacies of the plan, we can discuss when they come in? Is that?
Yeah, let them
Funding
have them
amounts.
prepared for us, the options, so it's not a matter of,
Mhm.
well, maybe, just give me in black and white, give me a
Yes.
spreadsheet.
That's what I'm asking, right, he'll, yeah.
Give us at least A or B, but A, B, and C options maybe. and see
Let's
which
send
one we
something
want.
out, okay, and
And
then.
it
I want
Yes.
meat, I want some meat, I don't want them coming in and giving me a fluff job.
Got it.
Correct. So
No, we
take-
can talk
we'll do
turkey then,
something.
frankly. We can say, here's what we would put towards it, so.
Yeah,
And if you have any questions, you can email back and forth, get a few, things that we know, and
I
then
would say,
present, and then, then we'll be ready to.
yeah.
I would say the goal would be to have that for you before the meeting.
Oh, yes.
Because I would like to have that in front of the meeting too. I would like to have
option A, option B, option
Right.
C.
Well, that's what I'm saying, if we're gonna have a motion, the motion should be tonight, when they come in October, we're gonna have all the facts and figures.
Well, that's different than what I'm talking about. Like, I'm saying, do we all agree we are going to set up a 401K?
Correct.
Okay,
Then
that's all we need
that's
to
what,
specify,
that's what
really.
Yeah.
I want to vote on, saying we are going to do that. The intricacies are what we will have
Right.
hopefully done by
You
October.
can still direct me to do
Right.
that, whether it's not memorializing it, you know.
And if, Sue, if it's any board member can, obviously, but if in October, you feel comfortable, you want to put a motion on the board as a funding mechanism, because you don't want to wait for, that's up to you, you can put it
I know,
on
but
how
I'm
to
just-
fund it, that's up to you.
I just wanna
We'll
make
vote on it
sure
from
that
there.
they're not gonna come in here in October and just try and sell themselves.
No,
I want them to come in here, I wanna have the data so I can make a decision.
Definitely.
Well, no, I mean, I think we've agreed that when they're past the selling themselves, we all agree that they're the people we'd like to go.
No, well, that's what I'm saying, but yes, we're gonna have a motion tonight to hire them to
Yes.
come and make the, get the
Yes.
data for us so we can make a decision.
She just doesn't want to waste time next
Yes.
month, like, let's
Yeah.
talk real numbers.
So
let's
we
just
should
talk.
vote now to
Yes.
say we're gonna do it and then vote to hire them.
Yes.
So I'm gonna put a motion out there that the Orange County IDA chooses to adopt a 401 type program for the employees, and that the program would be administered through Spectrum Financial, I believe it's
Yes,
called,
in Newburgh, yep.
in Newburgh. That is my motion.
with the proper share.
Yeah, I think that probably covers
I
it.
second that.
Second motion by Dr. Odock,
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Sue.
All right, and I know you're ready to get out of here now. It looks like I need to go into executive session one more time to discuss a separate legal matter.
Yes, and that's good.
Okay?
So the motion to go into executive session to discuss legal.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second, Jim, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I have a lot of really nice ones if you want.
And then adjourn.
Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. We're out of the executive session, and we have one other motion before we adjourn the meeting.
Yes, I would like to put a motion forth to have Bill Fioravante sign